Well, yeah, I guess that's why we ask all of our guests, when's the last time you changed your mind in a big way? Because we think it's important to have the humility to change. And the reason I was asking was not to go, oh, you change your mind. More, I'm interested in the process. So I guess from a human perspective, what is that like? And how did you come to that realization as you began to turn away from Trump? Like, what was that like?
It's scary. Remember, he's trying to intimidate people either into silence, or he's trying to intimidate people into accepting and supporting him. And it was scary. I'd like to tell you that it wasn't scary, Oliver, but it was scary because I've gotten death threats. I've gotten pushed and shoved around politically and from a business perspective, and it was scary. But I think you got to be scared sometimes in life, and you got to push forward, okay? And you have to at least challenge what he's doing to the system, because you want to let people know that if you're not fearful, they shouldn't be fearful. And remember, the way bullies win, guys, is that nobody stands up to the bully. Let's say there's three of us, and there's a big, strong bully that's pounding on one of us. Well, if the three of us team up, we can probably take him, okay? And we have to start thinking like that. And so that's where that's where I come down.
When exactly did the ball drop for you? Like, what was usually with this kind of thing, when you change your mind on a big thing, you slowly start to have nagging doubts or something like that. But then there's usually one clincher where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I've actually really changed my mind here. Do you remember a moment where you were like, okay,
yes, that's a great question. And again, this doesn't reflect on me well, but I'm going to answer it very honestly. I was with the guy, got fired. I said, okay, no big deal. I'm going to be positive. I'll try to continue to support him. It was August of 2019. I'm on the Bill Maher show, and I'm defending Trump, guys. And then one woman says to me, well, what do you think of the women of the squad? Now, for your viewers and listeners, who are they? They're 4 Congress women that sit on the hard left of the Democratic Party. They call themselves the Squad. 3 of them are African American. I think one's Hispanic American. Donald Trump said they should go back to the countries that they originally came from. I was like, whoa, I mean, that's American nativism. I mean, they said that to my Italian grandmother way back in 1923. It's not the appropriate thing to say, especially coming from the American president. And so Bill Maher says to me, well, what do you think of that comment? I was defending him that night, guys. I said, well, I don't like that comment. I think that's racist. It comes across like an American nativist. He shouldn't say that. And then Bill Maher said to me, well, and by the way, I should add that Stormy Daniels was on the show with me, right? So, of course, Trump was watching. And Maher said to me, you got to go 13 for 10 for Donald Trump. You just went 7 for 8. He's going to light you up tomorrow on Twitter. And I was like, there's no way he's going to do that. I was out there supporting him. But Bill was right. He started lighting me up on Twitter. And guys, I'm a New Yorker. So when you're going to light me up on Twitter, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start lighting you back, right? I think I called him the fattest president since William Howard Taft. He hates being so fat, And then I know he hates being so old. So I said, wow, Then he hit me again. I was like, oh, wow, you're losing your fastball. I mean, you're not even trolling it properly. Grammar's off. I mean, it's a sign of your old age. Why don't you try again? And then he went after my wife. I mean, it was totally nuts. I don't know why he does that, but that's what he does. And once he went after my wife, we took the gloves off, and we've been fighting for the last 6 years. So there was a moment, but it was a moment instigated by honesty. So remember this about Donald Trump. You want to be in his orbit, you've got to be a sycophant. And even though you know better, like Howard Butlick, I think his real name is Lutnick, but I call him Coward Butlick. So Butlick knows that the tariffs are not the right thing to do, but he's doing them because he wants to be in power. He wants to fly around with the president and hang out with the president. Bissett knows that the tariffs are the wrong thing to do.
We're seeing it now with Marjorie Taylor Greene as well, right? But there seems to be...
Yeah, coming around. She's coming around.
Yeah, well, the thing is, what is it about this sort of splintering of MAGA as well that we've been noticing? Because for me, since I've been kind of 14, whenever Trump, ran for office the first time, there is something about him that just is quite electric. He has the ability to command a space, social media space, a physical space, a political space. So there's something about him that's quite compelling. So despite all these things which you've mentioned, whether they're calling reporters piggy right, or slandering people online in the most undiplomatic way possible for the president of the US, there is still something about him that commands so many people to follow him, to listen to him. Even his opponents listen to him. What is that about Trump that's so captivating?
I don't know if you have this expression in the UK, but he's a shock jock. And so who was a shock jock? Well, Rush Limbaugh was a shock jock. Again, I can follow your conservative talk radio. I don't know who's who over there, but you may have some conservative firebrands that talk nonsense, and a lot of people gravitate towards them that are white. All right, so that are white nationalists. So Howard Stern is a shock jock. And so he's a shock jock of American politics. So he's going to say bombastic, threatening, provocative things to see if he can get you buzzed up, if he can see if you can get you upset, trigger you. Remember, he likes a couple of things. Let's talk about the things that he likes. He likes making money, which is why he's trying to make $20 billion from the presidency this time around. He wants attention. He would be so delighted that the three of us are talking about him. He wants everybody's mind on him. And then the third thing, which I laugh about, is he wants to troll his haters. And so he wants his haters to be triggered and trolled by him, which is why he does things like, AI of him in a mankini on the beach in Gaza, right, with Netanyahu, right?
We laugh, but it's not funny.
Or like he's dropping bombs from an F-35, and they happen to be diarrhea bombs on his adversaries while they're having a No Kings rally. You with me? Yeah, and so if you say, what are Trump's three things? Number one, wants to make dough. Number two, he wants attention. And number three, he wants to troll his haters and trigger them to get pissed off. And I think he's good at all.
Sorry to interrupt, Anthony, but more just to my question, what is it that makes people so captivated by him, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily the fact that he likes to make money that, captivates people. There's clearly something that's quite, I'll even go as far as to say quite charming about Donald Trump in many circumstances.
If I put the two of you in a room with him, and it was just the three of you, you would walk out of there feeling charmed. You would walk out of there feeling that he was gracious to you, that he was polite to you, he was considerate. He's a New Yorker in the sense that he'd be offering you food. He would want to have a rencontre with you. He would probably say some off-color jokes to see if he get you to laugh in sort of that fraternal spirit of camaraderie. And he has great political instincts. The other thing about the American people, don't forget this, the American people want you to ask them for the order. So if I was running for president, which of course I would never do, but let's say I was, I'd have to go campaign and say, Oliver, I need your vote. Lukas, could you please vote for me? Here's the voting poll. The American people like this sort of behavior. Andrew Cuomo is a friend of mine. You may know the name. He ran against Zoran Mondani for mayor. He got his ass kicked because he didn't ask for the vote. He was like, well, I was the former governor. I'm experienced. I deserve this position. And, if you don't vote for me, go scram. And so people scrammed. And so Trump is not that. Trump will fly all over the country, and he'll do the campaigning. And he's got a lot of energy, and he does have charisma, and he does have very good political instincts. Now, I think his policies are misguided. I think the lurching towards authoritarianism and taking too much power for the executive branch relative to the other two branches is also misguided and could potentially be harmful. I don't like the attack on our allies. I don't like the ass-kissing of our adversaries like Vladimir Putin. So these are the things that I disagree with. But if you're asking me to objectively look at his political skill set and his talents, I've just given you a pretty good description of what they all are.
Yeah, I think that's characteristic of populist leaders, right? So much of it is based around this cult of personality, like you said, the magnetism, making you feel liked, and so on and so forth. To be more technical and therefore move a little bit away from Trump, maybe give him a little bit less attention. I think the really important thing for a populist movement is unity, because it's like the people against, whatever the other is, whether that be the establishment or whatever other group. I think, like Lukas alluded to earlier, you of course moved away from MAGA, but as a general, it sticks like quite a unitary block, or it has done historically. I think we're beginning to see MAGA sort of start to splinter. Do you think Epstein and all the controversy surrounding that entirely explains that? Or is there sort of a political fatigue with Trump constantly changing position and being authoritarian and so on?
So I don't think they're mutually exclusive, Oliver. I think they're both. I think that you're describing it well. I think the Epstein thing has blown his base away. They're like, what are you talking about? We thought you were part of the movement that was going to stop these establishmentarians from running roughshod over us and abusing our children and trafficking women. He's like, no, I'm actually not going to do that because I'm, there are 2,600 emails. He's in 1,600 of them. And so, again, I'm not accusing him of doing anything wrong. I understand British libel laws, but I am observing his behavior, okay? I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but, there's got to be smoke somewhere in the house. Something's burning in the house because, if you didn't do anything wrong, let all the files out. He fought for 6 months not to let the files out. And we both know that a lot of those files will be redacted. But the second piece of this thing is, I think you're right, there's a tremendous amount of people that were with him that see him as a decaying political asset. And he has political mortality. I just see him as somebody that's politically mortal.